Yeah. These are two fine-looking knights. Wow. Okay. Let me think about this for a minute.
Let's just play through the moves since we left. Actually,
sure. We left her on here. She played rook to b1, which was our suggestion too, and then she played rook b5 immediately rather than taking on d5. So she wants to provoke dc, and she did. Looks like you're almost in trouble, but Mamedyarov actually has this rook f7 move, so it seems sort of all right. And next on, he's going knight to a5, as happened in the game.
By the way, just to let you know, my favorite my favorite Anton Korobov made the draw against Jeffrey Zhong, and also Vidit did win his game against Krasankov.
Okay,
we were looking at that earlier. Yeah. It was looking very close to over already. So these are the first two results in the challengers today.
I see. No real surprises there. Although I thought Jeffrey had a slightly worse position, but maybe he found a good way to neutralize it. Okay, so queen to d3. Vidit, by the way, yesterday drew his game?
He drew his game against
so he's on 1.5 out of 2. Yeah. Okay. c6. Yeah, so over here, again, this was sort of a quiet game. It looked like Hou Yifan was making some sort of something happening, but then she slowly got pushed back. And here the queens were getting traded. g5 is an interesting move. Getting a knight out of f4. So went to h5, rook takes. And now we see how those knights landed on these squares. I quite like... I was going to suggest h6 actually. I'm not surprised it's been played. And the idea of that move is just to bring the king to g6.
Do you think black is better here?
Yes, I do think black is better. At least I find it very hard to believe that you can just let the knights be on d5 and c4. And I'll tell you specifically why. In a lot of the endgames here, I'm worried about a5 followed by b5, creating an outside pass pawn. And then those knights on c4 and d5 serve as really good blockading pieces. So imagine taking off all the rooks here. I think you're in huge trouble as white. That's why I think Mamedyarov is much better here. If we look at the clock, he's up around, he's got around double the time of Hou Yifan. He's down to 16 minutes against 30. So I think he's in a very comfortable spot here. Now, honestly, I do hope Hou Yifan can find some way to at least make her rooks work or get some counterplay on the king side, because if we think about her game yesterday, I was playing through it again, and it is true that Anish had a slight edge in that endgame, but she shouldn't have lost it. She was very close to the draw just at the end, so it was a very uncomfortable start for her, let's say.
Yeah, no, I mean, surely a very disappointing end to the game, especially. But I was also reading about this game a bit I saw my good friend Fabien Libisevsky, a French grandmaster, was discussing it on Twitter this morning, and he was saying that he really feels this game was another example of how engines sometimes just cloud our vision. Because the engines, just kept saying equal, equal, equal. But he said in practice, it's really so much more pleasant for white.
Yeah, well, that was my impression. Obviously, I am not using a engine, so I'm missing mate in 3 quite a lot. But the good thing about that is that I do understand. I had the feeling she was under pressure the whole time, so maybe that's why I was a little bit overly negative about Anish winning. I'm also supporting Anish a lot, of course, but it is true what he said, that there was pressure all along, even if the computer was showing like almost equal or completely equal. Actually sitting at the board and having to find the sort of defensive moves, it's a different experience. So he played king h7, and again, I think this is a better position. If I were Hou Yifan, I would almost want to have some sort of g4 and f4 and try to break open the king side. Specifically, I would love to force, let's say, knight takes d2. If I can manage to do that, it might even be worth a pawn in some cases.
How could you possibly force me?
Well, let's try to go g4. So if king g6, I don't know if it's a good move now, but I wanted to go f4, and my idea is obviously f5. This is how I would try to approach it, just very active, trying to make something happen on the king side.
Also tell me, okay, the black knights are very nice, but I was just looking at this position here for a second, and I'm like, I struggle at first sight to come up with a plan for black. I mean, where are my rooks going?
Yeah.
What do I want? What do I even want to do here?
Let's see after g4 if we can come up with a move for black. Not that easy. Yeah, I mean, I could play a5, but I'm not sure it's, maybe it's a bit too early. But let's try.
I mean, that rook on d8 is not really doing much at the moment, but I can't really see where I would rather
be.
yeah.
Also, I have to be a bit careful with this rook e6 move. Rook e6, okay, I'm gonna go rook d6 probably. So maybe not yet, but okay, if you play f4, I'm hoping to just take here.
So, yeah.
You do have to be a bit careful with this one.
That's true.
Still, I think I don't know, something about g4 feels very natural to me. If you play f4 immediately, maybe that's also possible actually. I'm just, for a second I was a bit worried about this.
So if I take on h4?
Yeah, makes sense. Play here maybe. Actually here, my play is very slow. You're just gonna go probably rook g8 and maybe here also. Yeah, f4 is not a great move. So do you want to also try and take here now?
Yeah, we can try that, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense than what I was proposing. Yeah, I think actually just taking is the way. I think this is correct. Let's try here. And now you also have like f5 ideas. Yeah, don't really like it for white.
No, I'm slightly concerned here for Hou Yifan. Again, I'm very biased towards Mamedyarov because he's sort of my oldest friend in the chess world, but I really don't...
Is he also a bear? Or?
No,
oh,
no,
okay.
no.
A teddy bear.
His youngest sister is the same age as me, so I met her back in 2000, a long time ago. And actually the first time I came to Vaikanze was to visit them here. He was playing, I think, in the B group at the time, and his elder sister...
I was afraid of because basically she didn't manage to create something very spectacular, and I think this looks like a winning endgame for Mamedyarov. I mean, these knights are just so incredibly powerful.
So he's just put the knight to e3, hitting g4. I mean, do we even defend this pawn? Can we defend this pawn? Doesn't look like it. Also hitting c2. Is this just game over?
I have a bad feeling about this. For who's also, by the way, down to 3 minutes for 5 moves is not too bad, but given the position, it's not a very good sign either. Yeah, this looks like pretty bad position.
And we have a tweet from Grandmaster Abhijit Gupta saying, "Sometimes you win and sometimes you win, like how Bd3 did today. Some help from the opponent, but a very convincing win."
Yeah.
Actually, should we very quickly just see how the game concluded?
Oh, we can, yeah. So did it over here. Not through d1, but through c2 maybe.
Yeah.
This looks like it's gonna be a win. For black, have they reached move 40? Yeah, they're already on move 44, so these players are not in time trouble anymore. And I don't know, did you get to see some of the games from yesterday? Because Anish had quite a remarkable win against Yifan.
Yeah,
where he got a little bit lucky, even, I would say.
It was equal at some point, and then he got chance, right?
Yeah, he was pressing, but be over, actually. It looks like Mamedyarov just landed a winning combination. You can see the last move was knight to d2. And the idea of this move is that it not only attacks the rook, it also supports the advance of this pawn. If the rook, for example, goes to b4, Mamedyarov will probably play a2, rook a4, and now he can simply queen, rook takes, knight b3 check, and picks up the rook. And with this pawn still being on the board, this should be a fairly easy win. Can make a few more moves, but I would be quite surprised if he can't. Yeah, for example, like this, the knight is pretty much untouchable because the pawn will advance. Now there are of course some positions where you can even mate with two knights, but there won't be any of that happening here. So Hou Yifan looking at this position, but it seems that unfortunately for her, this tournament is a bit of a rough start for her, and I don't see a way for her to salvage this position. Knight to d2 and a2 is coming next. Still trying to find some way of, maybe some way of doing something, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see her offer resignation here. Other than Hou Yifan, we also have two more games going. And here we see Hou Yifan did indeed resign that position. And they're talking a little bit about the game. This was not a pleasant game for Hou Yifan at all. She had around, I would say, equal opening position that quickly turned a little unpleasant, and she never really got into that game. So unlike yesterday, where she was very close to making a draw and then slipped up at the very end against Anishgiri, today it seemed like Mamedyarov was just a better player. That being said, it's still a very unpleasant start for her with 0 out of 2. So we hope to see her make a bit of a comeback in the coming rounds. All right, let's go to one more game that we haven't seen in a little while, which is Caruana against